Welcome to Straight Guy Queer Eye. I'm your host, Paul Yen. We are on episode 12. Let's get started. We always start off with an important ethics statement. I want to acknowledge that being straight gives me privileges that the queer community does not get. I will never fully understand the trauma, the drama, and all the other homophobic nonsense that queer folks deal with on a daily basis. I am not an expert in queer culture, though. I'm also not a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a doctor. As host of the Straight Guy Queer Eye podcast, I'm here to introduce people to shows that I love and enjoy. More importantly, I'm here to listen and to learn about the queer community, and I hope to pass that knowledge on to like-minded people who want to make some sort of difference in the queer community, their own community, and in their own lives. We've got some corrections from last week. I forgot to mention that Morgan McMichaels was also safe last week. So yeah, Morgan McMichaels is still here. My wife also pointed out something very important. I mentioned in last week's episode that Raven took some digs at Mystique because she's definitely the self-proclaimed ice queen of the season. But what I didn't mention or realize was that we also have to be sure not to villainize her. We don't have enough listeners and followers yet, but if we did, we have to be sure not to be jackasses who go and pick on a queen because they're perceived to be the villain of the season. These queens already deal with enough hatred in their everyday life. We don't need more people giving them shit here either. Okay, Raven is an amazing queen, and as I've stated before, one of my wife's favorites. And that's not why she mentioned it. She just mentioned it because it's a very good point, because a lot of these queens, they have fans who are very passionate, who go on and harass other queens. That shit's not cool. And nothing we ever talk about on Straight Guy Queer Eye should ever lead to harassment of any queens, regardless of what their role is for the season. 9 queens remain. Mystique, the only big girl of the season, went home last week. Mystique's parting lipstick message was, "Balls to the walls. Fishes or bitches. You pick." I don't know what that meant either. But yeah, that was her message. As Raven is wiping off Mystique's lipstick message, Sonique and Morgan are taking digs at Mystique's weight by saying things like, quote, "The lipstick is chunky," or "Is that icing or lipstick?" No, if it was icing, Mystique would have eaten it. Sonique was saying that they all knew Mystique was going home from the beginning, while Morgan McMichaels said she pitied Mystique. Although most of the other queens weren't talking shit, Sahara said she felt bad for Mystique, while Tatiana was the only one that was outright defending her. She said she didn't think that Mystique was some horrible person that she was being made out to be, and that she didn't need Morgan McMichaels' pity. Oddly, Raven was pretty quiet, and I think maybe it's because she was super humbled after being on the bottom for the second week in a row. The mini challenge for the week is the queens are going to play The Queen is Right, similar or a play on The Price is Right, which is a long-running game show where contestants have to guess the prices without going over of everyday household items as accurately and as closely as possible to win prizes. In this case, the queens have to guess the right price of drag queen essentials, again without going over. So there's 3 rounds, and the winner of each round will advance to RuPaul's Showcase Throwdown, and the final winner will get a chance to phone home, because since the queens have been here, they haven't been able to get in touch with anyone on the outside world. Round 1 was Raven, Jujubee, and Sahara. The item was a pack of tube socks that can be used to give a drag queen boobs. Raven guessed around $9 or so, and the price of the bag of socks was $10. So Raven won round 1. Round 2 was Pandora, Jessica Wilde, and Morgan McMichaels. The item was hemorrhoid cream. It's not what you think. It's to decrease under-eye puffiness. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to try that sometime. Jessica had no idea what the cream was for, but she guessed $4.50, and the price was $5.50. So Jessica won round 2. And then round 3 was Sonique, Tatiana, and Tyra Sanchez. The item was a roll of duct tape. Yes, duct tape is used to help the drag queens tuck their dicks, but also a MacGyver essential of drag. Sonique guessed $4, and the actual price was $6. And so Sonique won round 3. So the 3 contestants for RuPaul's Showcase Throwdown are Raven, Jessica Wilde, and Sonique. The final items are chosen for a drag queen's night on the town. The items are brass knuckles, a can of pepper spray, and a brand new wig made of real human hair. The queens have to guess the closest total price of all 3 items combined, again, without going over. Sonique guessed $225.01. Jessica guessed $390, while Raven guessed $395. And the actual total was $1,200. So Raven, even though she was off by $800, came the closest and won the pepper spray, the brass knuckles, the wig, and the big prize, a phone call home to her mama. The Maxi Challenge for the week. This is the first ever Snatch Game. The queens will be asked to do their best celebrity impersonations where they will be judged on their look, precision, and wit, and it would really help if they can make Ru and the judges laugh. Tyra Sanchez will be impersonating Beyonce. Sonique will be doing Lady Gaga. Morgan McMichaels is Pink. Tatiana will be playing Britney Spears. Jessica Wilde is bravely playing RuPaul. Pandora Box is Carol Channing. Raven will be Paris Hilton. Sahara Davenport is Whitney Houston. Jujubee will be Kimora Lee. I wanted to mention that when RuPaul comes into the workroom, it's the first time he refers to the queens as squirrel friends. And he says, "You got a nut for another squirrel friend?" It's just a thing because eventually throughout the series, he says squirrel friends a lot. I'll try my best to describe the Snatch Game to you, but the basic gist is this. All the queens are dressed as the celebrity they chose. They are contestants on a game show. There are 2 guest judges. It's often not the guest judges for the runway, but can be. I'm kind of covering my ass because I don't remember if a judge from Snatch Game has also been a guest judge for the runway. The Snatch Game judges are actress Phoebe Price and actor Alec Mapa, who is one of the hosts of the official RuPaul's Drag Race podcast called Squirrel Friends, so be sure to check out their podcast. Once the game starts, the Snatch Game judges are asked a series of questions. Then the queens are supposed to fill in the blank with answers as the celebrity they're impersonating, and they try to match what they think the Snatch Game judges wrote down. So here's an example, because I know it sounds very confusing. Ru asked Alec Mapa, quote, "Slutty Sally is so slutty. Last time I took a ride on her disco stick, I got blank." Alec Mapa's answer was, quote, "An STD, as in, Slutty Sally is so slutty, last time I took a ride on her disco stick, I got an STD." And the answers from the queens were, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but Pandora said, "Scurvy." Scurvy. I'm trying to do the impersonation of her impersonation of Carol Channing. It's terrible. But she says scurvy. And Ru thought that was hilarious because Pandora did it, like I said, with this weird speech quirk that Carol Channing must have had. Then Pandora improv'd by saying, "I'm the national spokesperson for Broadway actresses against scurvy." Again, I apologize to Pandora's amazing impersonation because I can't remember exactly what it was like. Anyways, to which RuPaul just started dying laughing. Ru just thought it was hilarious, and Pandora kept adding more to it, and the judges were also getting a kick out of it too. Jessica Wilde's answer to the blank was, and she had this impossible job of impersonating RuPaul while RuPaul is there. And so she didn't really even answer many of the questions. She was doing all these wild things that RuPaul doesn't normally do, but RuPaul got a kick out of it. And at one point, she's playing, Jessica's playing like she's asleep, and when Ru asks her a question, Jessica Wilde as RuPaul suddenly wakes up and says, "You must lip sync for your life." It was super random, but she was super committed to it, and Ru and the judges loved it. Contrast that with Sonique. She had the same question. Her answer was, "Money, honey." So, quote, "Slutty Sally is so slutty. Last time I took a ride on her disco stick, I got money, honey." But she wasn't doing anything really to embody Lady Gaga. So it just fell flat. And Ru didn't laugh. The judges didn't think it was funny. And yeah, and the quote-unquote game show continues like that with a series of questions that the judges answer, and the queens try to match it. And the goal here isn't really to get the answer right. They're not trying to win the game. It's more about embodying the celebrity to the extreme, hamming it up, making Ru laugh. Because also in between the game show fill-in-the-blank questions, Ru will speak to each quote-unquote celebrity and expect a witty response. And if that's not confusing enough, the queens can interact with one another to try to one-up each other or play off of each other as the characters. And sometimes if, it's funny, it's a win. And Ru dies laughing and they have a chance to stand out. And sometimes it falls really flat, uncomfortably flat, where you're watching and you're kind of cringing. And, that just digs the queen deeper into a hole. It sounds weird, maybe even basic, most likely because I'm just doing a shitty job of explaining the whole thing. But trust me, it's freaking hard. I've watched 15 seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. I've watched All Stars, Untucked, British RuPaul's Drag Race, Canada's Drag Race, and I still have a hard time wrapping my brain around the Snatch Game. Probably because I recognize that it's damn hard to do. You've just got to be quick-witted, funny, know the celebrity in and out, know the celebrity's quirks or tics in and out, all of that. Plus, be able to free your mind, so to speak, and not be in your head about it. It's tough, but when a queen does well, it's so hilarious and it's so worthwhile because it's often the highlight of the season, aside from the amazing artistry of drag, obviously. But again, when a queen crashes and burns, boy, do they crash and burn. It's painful to watch because of the crickets. But they must carry on. My top picks for the first ever Snatch Game were Pandora Box as Carol Channing, Jessica Wilde as RuPaul because she was so wild, and Tatiana as Britney Spears. My bottom picks were Morgan McMichaels as Pink. She didn't embody Pink at all. Raven as Paris Hilton didn't embody what I don't even know much about Paris Hilton, but in my mind, what Paris Hilton was, Raven didn't do it. And Tyra Sanchez as Beyonce, the queen's comment about it, she is basically being Tyra, just dressed as Beyonce. And that's it. The game ends, and then now the runway. Runway category is the queen's personal style. The judges are Merle Ginsburg and Santino Rice, the regulars. Guest judges are actresses Niecy Nash and Lisa Rinna. Pandora came out in a shiny sequin gown, says she's taking the notes the judges have been giving her. Ru said she looked like a Hollywood starlet looking for a casting couch. Tyra was next. She wore a red burgundy, I couldn't really tell what color it was, skirt with shopping bags, looking like she's gone shopping on a shopping spree at some fancy store. She described herself as a rich couture woman with endless amounts of money. Morgan McMichaels wore a gold and black bathing suit type of outfit with knee-high stilettos, looking like a circus ringmaster. Also, she had the tiny top hat on her head, which reminded me of Angina from season 1. So a shout out to Angina. Morgan McMichaels describes her style as funky and fun. Drag is a circus, and she wants to be the director. Jujubee was fourth. She wore a tight turquoise bodysuit with black and pink squiggly lines running vertically down the entire outfit. She was wrapped in a red mink scarf, wore a pixie blonde wig. Juju describes her look as superhero diva, and her power is glitter. As she was walking the runway, RuPaul said, "Jujubee," or should I say, Lil Kim. Ru follows that with, is that Lil Kim or Lil Kimchi? Pun of the week. Fifth on the runway was Sonique. She came out in an orange and black tiger striped outfit along with a Catwoman type of mask. RuPaul made a Julie Newmar comparison. For all of those who don't know, Julie Newmar was the actress who played Catwoman in the super campy Adam West Batman TV series in the 60s. Sonique described her own style as dominatrix, feline, sex kitten. Tatiana came out in a super tight purple miniskirt. She's damn beautiful, very fishy, as in looks like a real woman. And as she was walking the runway, her skirt kept riding up higher and higher, to which Ru said, honey, if that skirt were any shorter, we'd have to arrest you for doing crack. That was probably the second best pun. I think it's the second pun period. So anyways, Jessica Wilde came out in all black. So tight pants, knee-high boots, tight long sleeve lace top, and she was pulling along what looked like a feathered train. She didn't really describe her personal style. Raven was eighth. She came out in a tight pink gown with black floral prints on it, cinched with a black corset. It had a slit in the front, and when she flipped open the slit, it was blood red on the inside of the skirt. She had a brunette pixie cut on, and she also didn't describe her personal style, I think. Sahara was last. She also came out in all black, but she had on what looked like latex tights, a leather top, and was also covered in lace and a short blonde wig. Lisa Rinna compared her to Grace Jones. Grace Jones is a model and actress. The only thing I've ever seen her in is a James Bond movie called A View to Kill. Spoiler alert. If you have not watched the episode and don't want to know who wins and who goes home, I suggest you stop here. This week, Ru does this clunky thing where all the queens are each holding a pink briefcase, and when they open it, if there's a heel inside, as in a picture of a heel or like a cutout of heels, they're safe. And if there's no heel, they're the best and the worst of the week. It's super clunky. But anyways, so the safe queens were, let's get this right because I left out Morgan McMichaels last week. Safe were Tyra, Raven, Jessica Wilde, and Sahara. But remember, Tyra had immunity this week because she won the previous week because her Beyonce was not very good. Raven had a heel, which means she was safe, to which she yelled out, yes, thank you, Jesus, because she was the bottom 2 weeks in a row. So the best and the worst were Jujubee. The judges said they wanted to see her go bigger as Kimora Lee in the Snatch Game, even though regarding her outfit on the runway, even though her outfit was basic, Merle Ginsburg said that only Jujubee could pull it off. Sonique was also in the best and worst. Merle said that what Lady Gaga was missing was comedy, which is what Snatch Game is all about. To which Sonique said that she was more focused on the fashion of Lady Gaga and that she didn't want to embarrass her character. RuPaul said she was not gagging over Sonique's Lady Gaga. Drag dictionary. Gag or gagging is to describe something that is fierce. For example, I was gagging over your outfit, or you can use it as a one-word compliment. Gag. Pandora Box. Merle said her camp was great. Lisa Rinna said Pandora nailed it as Carol Channing. Santino thinks she's funny, but doesn't get her drag. To which Merle defended her and basically said she's an amazing drag queen. And I agree. I don't know what Santino Rest is talking about. Because he's from the fashion world, and I guess he just doesn't like her fashion. Tatiana was also in the best and worst. Lisa Rinna used to live down the street from Britney Spears and thought that she nailed the impersonation of Britney Spears. Merle Ginsburg said Tatiana has a $1 million face, a $5 million body, and a $20 outfit. She wants to see more charm and less hooker. Niecy Nash loved her Britney. Morgan McMichaels, Santino didn't get her pink at all, which I agree. Ru said it wasn't very effervescent. Morgan said it went over like a fart in a spacesuit because it stinks. And she knew it was a risk to choose pink. And the judges, said that they liked that she took a risk, but it was the wrong risk. So, Jujubee and Pandora Box were also safe, which means the winner of the week was Tatiana. First, congratulations to Tatiana, but I gotta say, I disagree with this so hard. I thought Pandora deserved the win. She got a lot more laughs, and she embraced the camp as Carol Channing. I thought Tatiana was great and looked super gorgeous as Britney Spears, and she looked great on the runway. But, this is a big but, I just thought Pandora got robbed, and I think it has a lot to do with how beautiful Tatiana is, similar to what happened in season 1 with Rebecca Glasscock, because she's just super gorgeous, so she was favored a bit, whereas Pandora isn't your standard beauty queen, and I thought that was a shame. But again, congrats to Tatiana, because I do really like her a lot too. Anyways, that means the bottom two were Morgan McMichaels and Sonique. To Morgan McMichaels' credit, she thought she deserved to be in the bottom. So they lip-sync to Stacey Q's 2 of Hearts. Can I just say I fucking love this song? I think it's an 80s song, maybe early 90s, but I love this song. Right off the bat, Morgan McMichaels started lip-syncing and doing some simple moves and spins to the song, while Sonique looked clunky because she was taking off her gloves, and you're thinking she's wasting time, but then she takes off her tiger Catwoman suit and is wearing tiger striped panties underneath, and she goes all in on the dancing. She does a cartwheel into a back handspring into a jump split. Then she does a bunch of backflips down the runway and finishes with a back handspring into the splits. It looked awesome. And when it was all done, Ru admitted that it was tough because Morgan McMichaels nailed the lip sync with precision while Sonique was very acrobatic. But ultimately, Shantae, Morgan McMichaels stays, and Sonique sashayed away. These are the things that stood out to me. I want to give credit to Tatiana for speaking up for Mystique. Nothing against the other queens who didn't speak up, because I understand that it's not easy. But that's often what it takes to help someone through a rough day, through a rough time, standing up for those without a voice. When I was younger, I didn't want to stir the pot. I was about to say spot again. I didn't want to create waves. I don't know, maybe it was my upbringing, maybe because I was just chicken shit. I don't know. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that a kind word while someone is down can go a long way. A word of defense, anything, just standing up for someone. And, so if I see that someone's wrong or being a dick, I'll call them out for being wrong or being a dick. If you're being mean, I'll say you're being mean. We've got to speak up to show those who aren't feeling the love, feel the love. Again, Sonique and Morgan McMichaels shouldn't be harassed by anyone. I know the hate and online harassment from super passionate Drag Race fans towards queens is real, and we do not want to contribute to that nonsense. But, enjoy the show, be positive, because at the end of the day, these queens, they all consider themselves family and sisters to one another. But the point is that if you see someone being picked on, stand up for them. Stand up for them, because that can be the difference between them, being depressed or going home feeling shitty or worse off, harming themselves. Be brave, stand up for people. Another thing that stood out to me was that in the mini challenge, I get that the game was for funsies, but at the end, when the queens guessed the price of the 3 items combined and we learned that it was $1,200, we've really got to think of what it takes to be a professional drag queen. It is not cheap, because a can of pepper spray is what? $10, $20? Brass knuckles are, I have no idea. Let's just say they're $100. That makes the wig over $1,000. And this was in 2010. So I looked up the hair now from that brand, in 2023, and wigs go for at least $1,700. So not only do you have to respect the craft that it takes, the talent, the artistry it takes to be a serious professional drag queen, but you've also got to respect the hustle to be able to afford this stuff, because they're custom made outfits, gowns, looks, whatever it's called, it's not cheap. In the workroom, Ru asks Jujubee where she gets her sense of humor from, and her answer is from her father passing away. Quote, "You never know when somebody is going to leave you, so you treat every day like it's your last day, and you just give the best that you can give." I don't really have much to say to that. I mean, she says it perfectly. And I think I've mentioned this, or I said this a few episodes back. But yeah, man, those you love, you never know when they're going to go. So, and you don't know when you're going to go. So live your life to the fullest. Do what it is that you want to do. I encourage that to my friends all the time. Whatever you're doing, if you're feeling miserable, it might not be easy, but stop doing it. Live your life to the fullest and live like every day is your last day. The last thing that stood out to me was upon Sonique's exit, she said, quote, "I guess the hardest part of this whole contest was trying to find the beauty in yourself. Maybe I should have stopped being so serious. There's more to life than just being better than everyone. I definitely feel more humble now," end quote. First off, she was definitely humbled since she went home the week right after Mystique. Secondly, what she said made me think of the world we live in today. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called now. And so, so many other social media things that I just don't care about. Call me old school, call me out of touch. But when I see those things, there's this facade of trying to one-up everyone, with photos of where you are, what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're wearing. It's constantly trying to outdo others, to prove to others that we're living these amazing lives. It's this constant need for validation, while some, and I'm guilty of this, go on social media and feel like they're missing out, or they're not good enough, or that their lives suck, or that they're not successful. And most of it isn't real. It's become a ploy to sell you products. Maybe it used to be real until it became monetized. Nowadays with these influencers, they're either trying to sell you on how amazing their life is, and maybe it is, but they're still trying to sell you the idea that it is, or they're literally selling you products. And at face value, I guess there's nothing wrong with it, but to me, it just feels disingenuous. So I really like what Sonique said upon being humbled, that there's more to life than just being better than everyone. I just try to be better than who I was the day before. I know it sounds cliche, but you can't compare yourself to others. And if you continue to do that, you're playing a losing game. Reflect on yourself from yesterday and try to be better. I'm going to ask you a favor, just like I did last week. If you're enjoying Straight Guy Queer Eye, please share it with 5 people you know. Give the podcast a rating on your podcast app. You can also follow Straight Guy Queer Eye on Instagram at SGQE Podcast. You can follow me on my personal Instagram at Hello Paul Yen. I'd love to hear from you, so please send comments, suggestions, feedback to sgqepodcast@gmail.com. And remember, be human, be kind.